So I'm going to do a quick run through of the past couple of chapters I've missed, which will be 250 and 251, and then we're going to go into 252. So 250, largely just flashback, or my bad, not flashback, like reminiscing backstory kind of stuff about how the death of Toya, and those for who do not know, is apparently the identity given to Endeavor's dead son, which the majority of the fandom, at least caught up in the manga, assume is to be Dabi. I did not really see anything in these chapters to make me believe it is Dabi, but also nothing to really get rid of the theory that it is Dabi. And I would probably have to say I believe that it is Dabi because I feel that's something Horikoshi is building up on, especially when we get to what happens at the end of 252. But we see that Fuyumi is telling Deku and them exactly how Endeavor's been handling things, and more importantly, Natsuo, and how he hasn't yet to forgive him, which I think is I think that's going to be a nice parallel to Todoroki, because we saw how long it took Todoroki to forgive his father, and I think that is also going to be the same for Natsuo. 251 was just, we open up with, I forget his name, but it's a new villain, one that Endeavor apparently defeated, I think it was 7 years ago. He didn't kill him, I don't know, it wasn't really explicit. The guy, I don't know if he wanted to die, or if it was like a stain situation and he felt like the Endeavor should have killed him, or if he was just trying to provoke Endeavor to kill him to smear the reputation of the number one. He stalks Natsuo, kidnaps him. A little bit more talk between Fuyumi and the kids, and Endeavor's like, hey, I gotta go back to school. There's a funny commentary with the driver, with Bakugo's like, shouldn't the number one hero have a bigger car? And then the driver's like, oh, you kids arguing about chauffeuring. But I digress. At the end, we see this new villain in the road holding Natsuo, and at first it almost looks like Mr. Aizawa. At least that's what I thought, because he has this quirk that can utilize the white paint on the roads, and he can materialize it and wrap it around himself, and so it looked like Mr. Aizawa's face bandages. So I was like, why is Eraserhead here? But it was this new villain. Quickly, Endeavor goes into action, runs after him, but then stops short when he sees that he has a son. And that's when he goes into this whole rant about, you should kill me. You should make the right decision. If you don't kill me, I'm going to kill your son. And it ends there. We get into chapter 252. This is where it gets a little more interesting. We have Endeavor, and I think this is like the culmination of all the character development that Horikoshi's been putting him through the past few chapters. He is very apprehensive to attack. I'm not sure if he would ever have been brash enough to actually attack this guy while he's holding his son. I mean, he's always been an asshole, but I don't know if he'd ever went and put his kids into that much danger. But I mean, we saw what he did to Todoroki, so maybe. He backs off. The guy starts taunting him. It's like talking. It's like, hey, you remember me? And Endeavor's like, yeah, you were that nobody I defeated 7 years ago, and you went around making a villain name for yourself or whatever. And then he keeps taunting him into trying to kill him, and it's kind of vague, you know. It's like, do you want to die, or you just like Stain and you're trying to send a message that, you know, heroes should do things a certain way, or are you trying to smear the number one? He just tells him he wants him to kill him. I mean, unless I overlooked something, I didn't really see why. But Endeavor refuses to do so, and then that's when Bakugo and the other kids come out of nowhere. We see Bakugo do this really sick move. He snaps the guy, or Natsuo from the villain, and blasts himself away, and then the villain dude sends I think him and Todoroki start to clash, and then something happens. His cars go up into the air. But we see Todoroki practicing mixing the ice and fire. Then we get to see what it was that Endeavor was telling Deku how to ease into using more than one quirk. And the whole concentrating and in a little bit at a time, not overexerting himself. We see him use Air Force, and I don't know the exact name of this new power, the black stringy stuff that he Air Forces and uses Air Force and launches stuff into the air where all the cars are, and then he uses that black whip thing. Then maybe is it black whip? I'm not 100% sure, but he uses that black whip move or whatever, and he catches onto all the cars, and he slowly is able to drop them down to the ground. And immediately gave me vibes of Hisoka's bungee jump from Hunter x Hunter. I'm like, oh my god, we got some Hisoka up in here. In case you don't know, Hisoka's my number one boy in Hunter x Hunter. Hisoka for life. But I thought that was really, I don't know if Horikoshi did that as like a nod to Hunter x Hunter, or if it was just a happy accident. Either way, it was really cool. Shows off Deku is, you know, starting to get a little bit of a grasp on his new powers. Then it cuts to Endeavor hugging Bakugo and Natsuo together. And there's a nice little speech about him saying that he regrets what he's done to his family. And Natsuo's all like, I can't forgive you, Cat. Look how badly you treated us. Look what you did to Mom. Fuck you, Holmes. Then, Endeavor is really, really nice moment for Endeavor, which I think is the culmination of all of this. It was where Endeavor's like, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking for atonement. I know what I did was wrong. I can't fix it. And so at the end of the chapter, he sees Sumi in them, and he tells them that because of he opens up to them about everything, how he feels. So he's all like, I made a new house. I'm building one that's gonna help with missions and or how everything's running. And Fumi's like, what about this house? And that's where Endeavor's like, well, I'm staying here. Because he keeps making mentions of that dream where he sees the family happily together, but he's never there. Endeavor's finally just, he's come to the realization that he doesn't think that the family will ever be happy without him. Honestly, I think that's going to change. I mean, it's probably going to stay that way for a little while, but ultimately, I believe that the only way for their family to be whole is for them, especially Natsuo, to forgive Endeavor. And I think that's going to be a parallel to Todoroki, because we saw how long it took for Todoroki to finally accept his father's power and to forgive him for what he did. I think eventually the mom's going to get out of the hospital, and Natsuo will parallel Todoroki and at least, if not completely forgive, at least accept his father, and they'll all come together. My personal theory as far as the whole Dabi thing is, I've said before, I think that Horikoshi is building up for a Dabi v Todoroki fight, but after reading all these chapters and stuff, and I think that could still happen, but I'm thinking what's my personal opinion that will probably happen later down the road will be a super powered up, like we've seen with Shigaraki, a super powered up Dabi going up against an Endeavor. We'll get the reveal that Dabi is Toya, and that he will. I mean, even then, I would find it hard to believe that Dabi could overpower Endeavor. I personally think that Endeavor will sacrifice himself either out of self-guilt for what his son has become, or protecting Todoroki and them from Dabi. Either way, I see Endeavor dying at the hands of Dabi, especially after these chapters. I think the family sitting around together happily is a foreshadowing, along with all this character development and realization of Endeavor. I think this is all foreshadowing for his death, and I think the best way for him to die is at the hands of his supposedly dead son, protecting his now barely hanging together family. Other than that, the fight itself was actually very lackluster, because Bakugo's like, hey, didn't you say we had to beat you, or is it Todoroki? We had to beat you one time at defeating a villain just once. Yeah. I mean, I know Horikoshi put it in there so he could move along the plot, but I'm kind of like really underwhelmed that we had this villain from 7 years ago that has a vendetta against Endeavor over in like 10 pages. I mean, I get it. You're moving the plot along. Fine, cool, whatever. But that was a bit of disappointing. I think that would have been a really cool 2-3 chapter fight. But it's whatever. Move the story along. It's going good. Endeavor's coming along nicely. Bakugo still needs some work, but we'll get there. Got a new chapter coming out soon. Can't wait to see what Horikoshi's got in store for us next.